What is up, guys? Welcome back to another video. And today I wanted to wrap with you guys really quick. I know this title is a little clickbaity, but basically, what I wanted to wrap with you guys about is why I would never date a Colombian again. And this is if I was to leave Colombia, which I don't plan on doing anytime soon. But if I was to leave, hypothetically, these are the reasons why I would not ever date a Colombian again. So, especially Colombian women from Colombia. Now, starting off with number one, it is going to be the single mother crisis, epidemic, whatever you want to call it. It is something that is very rampant here in Colombia. I've said this before in my videos that 80% of the women here in Colombia are single mothers, and 84% of children here are born out of wedlock. So the options that you have to choose from. So if you're a guy who is in the United States or Europe or the UK, wherever you are, and you are not very interested in single moms in the US, well, if you come to Colombia, it's not going to be any better here than what you're getting in the United States. It's actually going to be worse statistically wise when it comes to single mothers. And don't get me wrong, there's a lot of great single mothers here, and they offer a lot as far as what they can bring to the relationship. But for me personally, I do not want to date a woman who has a kid. I didn't want to date one who has a kid in the United States, and I definitely didn't move across the world to, or not the world, but I didn't move to another country to start dating women who have kids. So this is something that you will experience very, very frequently here in Colombia, especially here in Medellin. So this is something that is a reason why I wouldn't want to date a Colombian woman again here. And the thing is with Colombian women who are single moms, it's crazy because a lot of the guys here, they will get the women pregnant, and essentially they don't want to have a kid, or they may not have the money to support a kid, so essentially they bounce as soon as the woman gets pregnant, and that as well creates its own issues. To speak further on that, you also have a lot of women here. The reason they're becoming single moms is because they are having unprotected sex. And that could be a lot because of, you can say, poor sex education, or you can say as well religion. Who knows? That part I don't know 100% for sure, but I do know in my time here that a lot of women that I've dealt with, when it came to the sexual aspect of the relationship, a lot of women here have not asked about using condoms or anything like that, which also goes into basically, STDs and all that stuff. But I'm going to try to stick on topic here with just these main reasons versus kind of scaling off into others. So the single mother crisis, that is one of the reasons why I would never date a woman, Colombian women here in Colombia. More than likely, you're dealing with 8 out of 10 women are going to have kids. So that's one. Secondly, is going to be the language barrier. No matter what anyone tells you, the key to any good relationship is going to be communication, whether it's a friendship, a work relationship, or an intimate relationship. You have to have communication. And one of the things that you will struggle with here, if you don't speak good Spanish, and I'm not going to say fluent, because if you are not a native, you never, I don't believe, will get to a fully, truly native level, but you can speak good to decent, Spanish, or speak Spanish at a high level. Now, the language barrier plays so much of a part in it, not only with the girl that you're dating, but their family. And family is such a huge part of the women's life here, that it does or can affect your relationship when you are, with a woman here. So the language barrier is a huge thing. And not only that, it's when you are even trying to get to know girls, as I have said before in some of my TikToks or videos, before, you lose a lot of your game when you cannot speak the language confidently. So it puts you already at a disadvantage. So that's another thing, is the language barrier. So secondly, I would say the other thing that would stop me from, or why I wouldn't want to date a Colombian here in Colombia ever again, is the women here, and this may be a good thing for somebody, but the women here are extremely jealous slash clingy. They're very jealous, very clingy. And even though with my girl, I've gotten her to a point now where our relationship is open on my end, where she actually will, find girls for me, or for us to have threesomes and stuff. And it took a lot of work for me to get her to that point, because a lot of women here are very close minded, and they're not as experimental as women in Brazil or Europe. So you're going to get a lot of conservative women who don't think open mindedly, or don't think open mindedly like that. So that can be difficult, dealing with the very clinginess and jealousy. Now, I've known quite a few guys whose girlfriends, and mine does this as well. I can't say I'm not a victim of it also, but my girlfriend does this as well, where she will comb through my Instagram, and it's to a point I'm pretty sure she's writing down the number of followers I have every day before she leaves the house. Um, so she can see if that number goes up or goes down, because she's said something to me about it before, about you know the girls that I follow. Now, she didn't say it in a way of like, any disrespect or anything, but she's just like, oh, some of the girls you follow, they're pretty and some are ugly, and that's it. But she's left it at that. But she does monitor my social media, and I've known other guys who've had their girlfriends do this as well, where they've even gotten caught up with, cheating for that. So that is another thing. Now, the clinginess part of it, like I said, that could be a pro or a con. But if you're a guy who likes to have, some of his own space, it can be very annoying having a woman wanting to be up under you all the time. I know, I'm not gonna lie, I experience it where sometimes, I'm like, damn, I need some space. And it's also a reason why I will not let my girls stay at home, because I work from home. And, I will not be that type of guy that will just take care of everything and let her stay at home and not work, because I need my alone time as well. So, um, something I deal with is she wants to kiss on me, she wants to hug on me, she wants to be right next to me, literally at my side all the time. And a lot of girls here don't usually have very big social circles or have a lot of friends, because they feel like girls here, which they are in competition, or they're gossipers, or they're negative. So a lot of girls here, just, you'll find that they don't have a lot of female friends. So everything that we do, or that I do, she wants to do it together. And that can be a problem. So the jealousy slash clinginess thing, or the lack of wanting to be completely independent, that's another reason. Now, another reason I would say as well is going to be the higher expectations. Now, they have much higher expectations from us as foreigners than they do from Colombians. So I won't necessarily say it's a disadvantage, but they're going to accept less from Colombians than they will accept from a foreigner, which I get it. I understand. We come from a country that's, financially more above Colombia, and we are coming here with a lot more. But at the same time, it can be very annoying because it can be very annoying because these women, they're expecting you to support them right away, or they're expecting you to, buy things right away, or like I said, just do a lot more than what the average Colombian guy will do. And it doesn't help that, simp culture has already made its way here into Colombia, especially Medellin, but it doesn't matter what part of Colombia you're in. If you find a beautiful girl there, she's had a simp at some point, especially if she's in that, 8 or above range. And I use Instagram game a lot, so I happen to meet girls from other parts of Colombia, and if they're really, really pretty, they've been flown out to Europe, they've been to Dubai, they've been to all these places, even if they're in a small town. So the expectations is one thing that can get a little annoying and daunting to deal with here in Colombia. So another thing that I want to talk about that isn't talked about very much, but a lot of people think like, oh, it's Colombia. The women here are going to be a lot more submissive and friendly and all that stuff, and they are. But the thing is that what a lot of people aren't really realizing or don't know is that um, what the fuck? It's one thing I hate about Colombia is fucking the way people drive here. I just almost hit a motorcycle, which I probably do once or twice a day. These motorcyclists drive like they don't want to live or have their lives. Anyway, so what I was trying to say is that slowly but surely, and this is maybe more than a year now, feminism has started to creep into Colombia now. If it hasn't been here longer, I've only been here a little over 2 years, so I can only speak for this period of time. But girls have social media here. They're on social media a lot. They are, watching a lot of the stuff that a lot of the women are watching in the United States. It's just in Spanish. So a lot of women here are starting to become, more feminism and more entitled than what they used to be. So that is another thing that is another reason why, or not to want to date a Colombian ever again here, is because more of the women are starting to become just like the women in the United States. It's just they're prettier and more in shape. So, if you are coming here and you're getting a lot of the same things that you would get in the United States, then it doesn't really make it that great of a place to come to date. And as I said, all this I'm saying is hypothetical if I was to leave Colombia. Now, I want to make something very clear. I I love Colombia. I love Colombian culture. I love Colombians in general, and this is the reason why I haven't left, why I choose to stay here, and also why I'm trying to potentially either buy property, start a business, and move towards my residency here. But there are a lot of things that are, I would say huge cons of dating here. And going into my next point, I would say that is going to be the family differences. And a lot of people have said this. I haven't felt this so much because some of the girls that I've dated, or most of the girls I've dated, this hasn't really been an issue, but I've heard it from other people, is that the family is essentially a part of your relationship. So you have to deal with that family dynamic as well, and if you're somebody who's thinking about taking a woman out of Colombia, which I don't recommend, but if you're one of those type of guys, she's going to, if you're going to want to take her out of Colombia, you're going to have to deal with her missing her family, which is normal, it's understandable, but you're going to have to deal with the family aspect of it. So these are a few reasons. Now, one of the last reasons I want to get into is kind of going back on the single motherhood part of it. And it's something that I feel very strongly that I can see almost in every girl that doesn't have a two-parent household, which is the majority of the women here. But it's the daddy issues, or just from being raised by a single mom, that we all know as men, like, it's very important for a woman to have her father in her life. And if she doesn't, she tends to grow up with a lot of issues. Now, it's very prevalent here with 80% of women being single moms, that a lot of these women are being raised by their mother. It's also another reason why Mother's Day is such a huge day here in Colombia. But a lot of these women who are raised by their moms, they're, I don't want to say that they're definitely not growing up masculine. It's just that the lack of that father presence, that father guidance, shall I say, is very prevalent, and you can see it, you can feel it. And it's also too why a lot of women here, they make such poor mistake, or excuse me, not poor mistakes, but poor decisions in things that they do. Is why you see a lot of women here, especially in Medellin, with tons of tattoos, or just excessive tattoos, or tattoos in crazy locations. um, it's why all these girls are out here having unprotected sex, and not really taking care of themselves sexually. It's also why a lot of these women are just repeating the cycle, and they're having kids. So um, it's just a huge thing that I see here. And lastly, the thing I'm going to touch on to end this video is going to be the cheating. Colombia, if you did not know, is the number two country behind Brazil when it comes to cheating. Cheating is a huge thing here. And if you ask any Colombian, it is pretty much just like culture, pretty much. Um, so cheating is a very big part of the culture here in, I would say, Colombia. It's not just Medellin. So it's something that people get used to. And a lot of women here, I mean, I guess in a way it has its pros and its cons for guys, that a lot of women here are okay with being side chicks because of the culture. I don't know if they're just conditioned to it or whatever. There's a lot of chicks who aren't, and a lot of chicks who don't want to deal with the guy if you have a girlfriend or if you're married. I've definitely seen that, where a lot of girls are not okay with it. But on the flip side, if there is some type of financial gain in it or something like that, these chicks don't really care, especially if it's a long distance relationship. So that's another thing that you don't have to look forward to, is if you're somebody who doesn't live here full time, you're just coming to visit here and there, that girl more than likely is cheating. If it's not with a local, it's with a foreigner. So these are things that you just have to keep in mind. And even a lot of the guys who live here, girls will cheat as well. And it's also too, a big part of that is a lot of Colombians don't live with their girlfriends, or they don't live together. So they're both kind of doing their own thing. But I do want to say this, on the flip side of this, is that there are a lot of faithful women here as well. It's not like, just 100% of the country is just cheating left and right. But cheating is a huge part of the culture and stuff that happens here. And it's also another reason why a lot of the women here do end up being single moms, or they're single, is because a lot of the guys cheat here and the women don't want to deal with it, so they just leave. So that's it for this video. um, I'm over here driving in rush hour traffic, and I wanted to essentially talk about this subject while it was on my mind. I appreciate all you guys support, especially everyone who, when you see me, come up and talk to me. I'm a cool dude. I'm very easily to approach. So these type of things are what keep me motivated when it comes to creating content. And like I said, man, I appreciate you all. Anybody who's ever liked the video, watched the video. If this is you right now, watching the video, I appreciate you for taking the time out of your day, to watch this video and listen to what I have to say. And I'm extremely grateful and happy, even though I don't have a lot of followers. You know, I'm trying to make my way up to 1,000, and I appreciate you guys watching, and glad you guys are all learning and taking something from this content and my experiences and everything that I'm learning here. So that's it for this video. Remember to travel and travel safe.